Welcome to the Mindset School podcast. My name is Inga Pakalnishkita. I'm a life coach, neuroscience geek, and entrepreneur. In each week, I will bring an inspiring topic, easy to use tools to help you become the best version of yourself so you can create the life that is beyond your wildest dreams. Let's get started. Welcome to the first episode of the Mindset School podcast. You guys, I am so excited. This first episode is out of my brain. The launch of this podcast has happened because I've been obsessing about the thought of having my own podcast for the last 3 years. So it's been in my daily thought process, and I knew I wanted to do this. And it really became clear to me that this desire to share the information through the podcasting platform was when I started my training as a life coach here in London. So I really started to gain so much knowledge that I just didn't want it to keep to myself. That just felt like stealing from the human family. So therefore, I wanted to create a platform where I can share my own experience through personal development. So what has worked for me, what I'm working towards, how I am elevating my own mindset, and that would take me to where I want to go towards my goals, but also share the insights that I get and the direct feedback from my clients. So what has worked for them. Another thing that I'm really, really huge on is the neuroscience. So really understanding how our motherboard, the brain, is operating our whole mindset, our body, and therefore our life. So this is what you're going to hear on this podcast on the weekly basis. So very different topics on money, your relationships, your health, your wealth. So what stops you, how to question your own mindset and how to upgrade that. That's what is the most important, because we come into this world as almost a blank sheet of paper, and we are like a sponge that just observes everything and builds the softwares from our immediate family, from our siblings, from our parents, from the media, and then we come into this world where we're adults, and then we want to create the life for ourselves. So how do we create that? And how do we recognize what software is outdated? What kind of update we need to do in our own mindset? So this is really my mission in life, and with this podcast is really to share my knowledge and to help you understand how to operate your own human machine. And in today's world, really use up your potential, because we all are capable of anything and everything. So that's what I want to share here with you. So whether that will be on a weekly basis, me talking to you on a different subjects and sharing my perspective and my knowledge, my view of that, or that would be having guest speakers here on the podcast where we'll be interviewing them and learning what has worked for them, what's their secret sauce, how they are thinking, what is their thought process, how they have upgraded themselves to be where they are and where they want to go, and what is their thought process about that. So I'm really hoping that you will find this podcast something that you can come back to every week and build up on that and really upgrade your own mindset and find some useful tools and just useful topics. I'm really hoping each episode is going to challenge your own thinking. What I always love to say to my clients, your brain is going to hurt. And this is actually a really good thing. This is how you know that you're growing, that all the neural pathways in your brain are challenged. How do we prune those old, outdated programs that are no longer needed for you? As you know, we all going through different stages of our life, and as we are elevating, as we're growing, we need to constantly learn and update, and that's what our human machine is really good at. But we just want to use our conscious mind to choose what programs we want to put into our subconscious mind that runs about 95% of all our functions in the body. This is really crazy. I hope you're going to enjoy the episode. This was a little bit of an intro about this podcast. With each episode, we'll get to know each other better as I will be sharing some of my experiences. But let's get started with the first episode and let's dive in deeper on the topic of upgrading your software. So enjoy. One of the things that I'm really fascinated by is that we know how to operate our smartphones much better than we know how to operate our own system, which is the mind and the brain. On your phone, you receive notifications. Hey, you need to update your app, or you need to update the operating system, and therefore you just click the button and in the background it does the update. And here we go, your phone is working better, the app is performing better. So it's always happening in the background of your smartphone. But with us, we are the ones that need to find that outdated software, and we need to press the button to do the update. And we're the ones that need to do the work in the background. So another question is, well, how do we find those outdated systems, or how those systems are actually installed in us? So I think let's start with how those softwares are actually installed in us. So how do we receive them? How do we now walk into this world having a belief systems, having the mindset, believing what is possible for us, what is not possible for us, having the different opinions? So how all of that software is shaped. And I think it's really important to understand for each human being how our own operating system is actually built. Your brain is a very complex and powerful operating system that stores all of that software and that is responsible for all the functions in your body. And I'm talking about cell regeneration, breathing, walking, talking, and really interpreting the internal and external signals to keep you safe and to really make your human machine function at his best. When we come into this world, we come with a basic software. So what it is required for an infant to really survive, to really grow and develop. So you have a basic motor skills, auditory and visual skills. That is your software. And once you are developing and growing, your brain develops, and those networks, that software is becoming more complex, and you're actually building a new software. By design, your brain is in a lower brain frequency, which is called theta waves, up until you're 6 or 8 years old. It varies from individual to individual, but on average is somewhere between 6 and 8 years old. So when your brain is in a theta waves, is more suggestible for that programming, for that software to be uploaded. And that's why kids are so good at learning by observation. So this is our human design. So this is how we, by that age where we have to go to school, we already know what is good, what is bad, how to interact with other kids, with other human beings, how to pick a fork and how to eat. We have some manners, and really we're a functioning family member, and we're a functioning society member. So this is by design. That's how our brain is built. At that age, that's where the consciousness starts to kick in. So this is where we start to have our own interpretations, our own opinions, and we attach the meaning to the things that we see. Because there are so many different functions that your brain needs to look after, and look after all of those softwares, and really be responsible for everything what is going on in your body. By design, it likes to be efficient and to use the least energy possible to do its work before it creates those programs. And once they're created, they're just automatic. So you don't ever have to think about how to move your tongue and your facial muscles to create the sound for speech. Or once you learn how to drive a car, you don't really have to think about how to change the gears. It has to be automatic, otherwise we would still be a bacteria. We're very, very complex machines. Therefore, a lot of functions, they have to be automatic. And what we know by science, that actually 95% of your being is run by an automatic program. So your brain actually has the energy to keep you alive, to do all of the functions, and only 5% is really what is your conscious thinking. When you hear this, it seems a little bit unreal, because you are actually thinking, well, that's not true, because I am conscious all the time. But you are not really. You don't ever have to think about how to breathe, how to pump your heart, how to pump your blood. So there are so many functions other than thinking that your brain is responsible for. So that's why all of those 95% come up there. So why it is important for you to understand the development and the softwares, and how the softwares are being uploaded to us. It really helps you to understand how to make change and how to challenge yourself. By the age of 6 to 8, right before our consciousness kicks in, this is where we have built our main belief systems about what we think about ourselves, how we interact in our relationships, what is our opinion about money, what is our opinion about health, about all the other things. It's really built by that time. So if you are looking to upgrade your life, you really have to become aware of those softwares that are needed to be updated, because it's very possible that you are still running with the program, with the software that you got when you were 4 years old. And, if that serves you, that is great. It's brilliant. But what we know, that about 70% of that, it's really self-sabotaging and negative software that we come with. So how do we recognize the outdated softwares? How do we do that? So really, what I like to say, it starts to pop up as challenges or some obstacles in your life. So we can dream about something that we want to achieve, some things, but something that gets in our way and we don't know what that is. That's what we know, that there is an outdated system that is no longer serving you, that needs to be updated. And we do that by becoming more and more aware. And coaching is a really great tool to find those outdated softwares, those limiting beliefs, to challenge your thinking around that, because that's all there is. We have about 60 to 70,000 thoughts every single day. That is crazy as well to think about it, that we think that much. But it's really those little popping thoughts that pop up. For example, when you're running late for work and your brain is just talking to you saying, you suck, you're always late. So we have a lot of those popping up that we're actually not really aware, because again, this is your automatic brain, your subconscious brain is just running the program automatically, because it likes to be efficient, because it has to do a lot of work. And really, by awareness and through coaching, you are able to find those outdated systems and press the button to update or to uninstall completely. That is possible as well. And we know this from neuroscience that is called pruning. So whenever you're no longer using that program, that software anymore, it simply, the connections, which are called synapses, they're starting to die off. They're starting to become weaker and weaker, and then you no longer need that software, so it's no longer there. So your brain is always adapting and building those networks. So another thing to keep in mind, that our operating system is actually really smart, is very efficient, it likes to do its job properly, and therefore when you install software, it doesn't want that software to go away or to malfunction in the future. So for example, if you have learned how to walk, you want to walk for the rest of your life. So that's why whenever you want to install a new software, a new habit, a new way of thinking, your brain is going to resist. Number one, it needs to use up more brain energy to do the work to build a new neural pathway. It doesn't really like it. So that's why whenever you're learning some new skills, or whenever you get a new job role and you're going to work and you notice how in the evening you come back and your brain is not there anymore, but because it's learning new skills, it's learning new way of thinking, is creating those new neural pathways, and it needs more energy to build that up. So that's why whenever you're making a change in your life, please know that your brain is going to resist. It's not because it doesn't like it or it doesn't think that it's good for you. It's only because it has to use up more energy. So it's going to resist. It's going to say to you, well, actually, it's fine, the software that you're having right now. Please don't interrupt my work. I have a lot of things to do. So it is hard for me, but over time, through repetition, and especially as an adult, this is how we're building a new neural pathways, new softwares, through repetition, through doing the same things. If there are some of you who are learning a new language, you know that you have to speak out loud, that you need to practice, otherwise you're just never going to speak that language. So you need to build those neural pathways, and that's why your brain is going to resist. That's why you're built this way by design, and it's actually really smart. But I think we're in a good place with the neuroscience and with the coaching and with the therapy, with a lot of different things where we know the function of the brain, and we are able to make the conscious decisions to better ourselves. And that's why I really feel that it is so important for each individual to understand the basics, really how our mindset is shaped. So how do we install those programs, and how do we then update them, or we install new softwares, or we get rid of the ones that we no longer need. I hope I haven't lost you there. I know I shared a lot of information, and I try to make it as simple as possible. Therefore, I compared our mind really with the smartphone and the apps. I feel that the information has to be really simplified for us to understand complex processes that are happening in our own body. But it is really, really important for us to be aware of that and to know it. I would say this is really a basic. If we want to be a highly functioning human being, we need to understand our own software. All right, well, I hope you enjoyed this episode, and if you did, I hope to hear you and speak to you next week. If you feel that this episode would be appreciated by your friend or somebody who is interested into personal development, please share this episode with them, and I will speak to you next week. Bye now.